The battlefield of Kepri 9 was quiet in the way only mass death could make it quiet. Smoke drifted low over shattered crystalline spires, and the once luminescent plains were scarred by plasma burns and cratered armor husks. For the Threxian Union, the silence meant survival. For Cael'thur, it meant the end. He lay half-buried beneath a collapsed ridge of violet stone. His lower body twisted at an angle no Threxian spine should ever bend. Pain signals screamed through his nervous lattice, but the damage was complete. His hind limbs no longer responded. The neurofilaments that carried motion had been severed by a human artillery strike. Crude, overpowered, and devastatingly effective. Cael'thur was a recon prime, genetically engineered for speed, elevation, and command. He had outlived 3 planetary campaigns and earned 7 honor glyphs etched into his carapace. Now he could not even lift his own head. His internal chronometer ticked down the remaining minutes of life support gel in his suit. Extraction had already come and gone. Threxian doctrine was clear. Immobile units were losses to be recorded, not risks to be recovered. Survival of the swarm came first. Always. Cael'thur understood. He accepted it. Still the silence felt heavy. Footsteps crunched across broken crystal. He froze, not with fear but with disbelief. Threxian sensors flared weakly, painting a silhouette through the smoke. Bipedal. Asymmetrical gait. Human. The enemy soldier moved cautiously, rifle raised, visor cracked and smeared with ash. His armor was dented and scorched, one shoulder plate hanging loose. A red insignia, Terran Coalition, was barely visible beneath the grime. Cael'thur closed his secondary eyes. Death then. He had no strength to activate his last plasma charge. Even if he did, it would be pointless. The human stopped. Cael'thur waited for the shot. It didn't come. Instead, the human lowered his rifle slightly and approached, boots scraping against the stone. When Cael'thur opened his eyes again, the human was kneeling beside him, close enough that Cael'thur could see the scratches in the visor and the exhaustion in the eyes behind it. The human spoke, voice distorted through damaged comms. "Damn, you're still alive." Cael'thur tried to respond, but his vocal sacs spasmed uselessly. His translator implant flickered, barely holding power. "Easy," the human said, raising an empty hand. "I'm not here to finish you off." That made no sense. Humans were predators. Brutal, relentless ones. Cael'thur had watched them advance through kill zones that would have broken other species, dragging wounded comrades while firing with terrifying accuracy. They did not hesitate. They did not retreat easily. They certainly did not spare enemies. "My name's Sergeant Daniel Reyes," the human continued, as if introducing himself to a dying foe was perfectly reasonable. "You're pretty messed up." Cael'thur's translator finally stabilized. His mandibles clicked weakly. "Then leave. You risk your life, for nothing." Reyes exhaled sharply, a humorless sound. "Yeah. Heard that one before." He scanned the battlefield, checking the horizon. "My unit pulled back 2 clicks east. Command says orbital sweep in 20 minutes. Anything left out here gets glassed." Cael'thur felt the truth of that settle into his core. "Then you should run." Reyes looked back at him. "Can't." The human reached out, fingers brushing against the cracked plating of Cael'thur's thorax. The touch was careful, almost reverent. "You're paralyzed," Reyes said quietly. "Spinal hit." "Yes." Reyes swore under his breath. He opened a side pouch and pulled out a compact med scanner, passing it over Cael'thur's body. The device beeped rapidly. "Yeah," Reyes muttered. That's bad. Kael'thur stared at the human. Why are you still here? Reyes paused. His eyes shifted briefly, unfocused, as if looking somewhere far away. Because leaving people behind is how you lose your soul. Kael'thur did not understand that concept. Souls were a human superstition. Still, something in the human's voice resonated. You are my enemy, Kael'thur said. Reyes nodded. Yeah. You were trying to kill us this morning. And now you're a wounded soldier who can't move. Reyes stood, slinging his rifle across his back. He unlatched something from his armor, a reinforced exo-harness used for casualty evacuation. You can't carry me, Kael'thur said. I am heavier than your kind. My physiology. I know, Reyes interrupted. Intel briefing said Euthrexians weigh about 400 kilos. Kael'thur's eyes widened. Then this is impossible. Reyes locked the harness around his torso and activated the servos. The motors whined to life, stabilizing his frame. Good thing humans are really stubborn. The first attempt nearly crushed Reyes beneath Kael'thur's weight. He grunted, knees buckling, but the exo-harness compensated, redistributing the load. Slowly, painfully, Reyes hoisted Kael'thur onto his back. Don't do this, Kael'thur said, his voice shaking. Your command will punish you. Reyes laughed, breathless. They already do. Step by step, Reyes began moving east, away from the kill zone. Each footfall was labored. Sweat streamed down his face inside the helmet. The battlefield seemed endless. Plasma fire erupted in the distance. Automated drones reactivating. A bolt scorched the ground nearby. Reyes didn't stop. You will die, Kael'thur said. Maybe, Reyes replied. But not today. They moved through shattered terrain, Reyes ducking behind cover when necessary, shielding Kael'thur with his own body when fire rained down. Once, Reyes stumbled and fell, smashing his knee against stone. He screamed, but he didn't let go. After what felt like an eternity, a human transport came into view, its engines already warming for departure. Reyes! A voice shouted over comms. What the hell are you carrying? Long story, Reyes gasped. Open the ramp. There was a pause. Then the ramp lowered. Inside the transport, medics froze at the sight of the massive alien form. Weapons were raised. Orders were shouted. Reyes stood tall despite shaking legs. Stand down. He's wounded. He's not a threat. The commanding officer stared at Reyes in disbelief. You disobeyed a direct retreat order. Yes, sir. And you brought an enemy combatant. Reyes met his gaze. I brought a soldier who was left to die. Silence filled the transport. Finally, the officer lowered his weapon. Get him secured. We'll sort this out later. As the ramp closed and the transport lifted off, Kael'thur felt something unfamiliar well up within him. Not pain. Not fear. Gratitude. Why? He asked softly. Reyes slumped against a bulkhead, removing his helmet. Because one day, when this war ends, I want to believe we were more than just monsters to each other. Kael'thur carried that moment with him long after his body was rebuilt with human-assisted bioengineering, long after the war ended and treaties were signed. Among the Threxian Union, a new doctrine quietly took root. It was called the human exception, and it began with one soldier who refused to leave.